Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we're going to be diving down into the charts for Zilliqa to see exactly what's been going on with the price action of ZIL. As we get into this, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. Really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done, and out of the way, let's jump on down into the charts and take a look at the price action here of ZIL. Okay, guys, so we're going to start things off by just acknowledging how well Zilliqa has performed so far. And although we have had a bit of a disappointment turn once we actually reached the high area of wave 3 here, this is back in May of 2021, we could see there was an ABC down, and we kind of really struggled to kind of get some decent kind of momentum back in. With that being said, though, we have touched back down in that buy zone and we have started to rally up from there. So we're going to dive down into the smaller time frame, see what's going on. Obviously, there are some fundamental changes with Zilliqa as well in terms of, moving into the metaverse and all of that kind of good stuff. So I'm expecting some pretty interesting things to occur in 2022 for Zilliqa. And we're going to dive into, let's start off with our daily chart, because I think this is an interesting one. I think a lot of people should be aware that there is a triangle forming here on our chart for Zilliqa that could potentially play out quite nicely in terms of the progression that ZIL is likely to have further down the line. So as you can see, we have a relatively, I guess it's not much of an incline, but there's a little bit of an incline on our support line here, this trend line to the upside. Then we obviously have a really sharp descending one. This obviously forms out into a triangular wedge, but when we actually drop down into those lower levels, we'll have a look at what's going on. Obviously, the direction of the momentum into the triangle shows us the direction of which we are likely to pull out. So, for example, if we pull down into the triangle, we tend to push on out of the triangle in the same direction. So we come down, we go and exit up out of the triangle, as in we were going to continue the trend that fell into the triangle in the first place, as in we were tracking up, then we pulled back, and now we're tracked back up again. Okay, so if we were to actually find ourselves getting rejected earlier on, as in we actually had our A wave up here, for example, then obviously we would see downside. So we do expect a break to the upside. So let's actually jump down into our 4-hourly chart. This is actually an interesting one because it shows you the Elliott wave triangle in more detail. So our A wave is coming down into the bottom area here. Okay, this is basically from May down into that low area that we had in July. We then push up with wave B, down for wave C, pushing up with wave D. We can kind of see that one kind of being completed almost now. And now we are trying to pull back into the wave E scenario. So an ABC to the downside is expected here on our 4-hourly chart. So you can kind of see this one starting to form out, big ABC completing that E wave. And once we get that E wave completed, guys, that's where we start to see this thing really play out. So I don't think we're too far away from this. We're probably going to be talking towards the end of January going into February. And we should hopefully get this completed E wave. This is going to be your opportunity to buy ZIL, in my opinion, the entry point as we enter this yellow box area. Obviously, we'd have to monitor this E wave. Sometimes they do fall short. Specifically, there's no real guarantee, but what we want to do is we want to monitor the distance on these waves. So as they start to form out, you can see how we have a lot of kind of indecisive action at the moment within the market, a lot of sideways kind of sort of trading going on, and we're waiting to see how low this is going to actually pull back before we have a push for the B and then the C. Once that actually forms out, we'll have a good idea as to where the buy zone should be, but I imagine it's going to be in and around this area here, which will put us at about somewhere between that, I'm going to call it 6 cent and about 6 cent and probably 5.5 to be safe, somewhere in that area right there. So if I actually could quickly grab my brush, I reckon it's somewhere in this sweet spot just here. We shouldn't go lower than our trend line, but it's possible that we actually don't go near it at all and we stay outside of our yellow box. It would be nice to get that entry point into here, as we had previously, but there's no guarantee of that, so we have to just monitor that situation, but we are expecting to pull back, and again we are looking to accumulate here ahead of that next move to the upside, which again should be an impulsive break, and again could potentially take us significantly higher than we've seen Zilliqa so far. So again, with the direction of the fundamental changes that Zilliqa are making, couple that with this Elliott wave triangle, and the outlay or the outlook for ZIL is actually very, very bullish, right? We are looking at continuation to the upside overall. Although we have obviously had to endure quite a bit of sideways trading, and I've just hodled my ZIL all the way through, not actively trading it or anything like that, just kind of hodling it. It's in cold storage, I don't worry about it, and we carry on. So ultimately we are looking at some decent kind of progression. to the upside. And actually on that note, guys, it's important to acknowledge if you are staking ZIL, there was an opportunity to obviously get GZIL, and that would have finished at the end of October. So I'm no longer actually staked on my ZIL side of things, but you know, I was staked for pretty much all of 2021, just trying to earn in GZIL, which is a fantastic opportunity to get into that into the governance token for Zilliqa. And so, you know, for that being said, you know, it's no longer, you know, staked, but it's still readily available should the time come. But I don't think there's any urgency on this one. Instead, there's just accumulation to be had until we actually start to get the break to the upside. My expectations are, if we actually pull up into our daily chart here, so we obviously understand that there is a downward trend looking to form on the smaller time frames. You know, my expectations for this are still pretty much aligned to where they have been previously. First target really comes in at 38 cents, then the 2.618 is 59 cents, the 3.618 is 79, and then the 4.236 is 92.4, right? So those targets haven't changed. They are still here and aligned to where we are thinking. Now, obviously, I've drawn in here the impulsive move that's expected, but there's no guarantee that we know how high this thing is likely to go. You know, I'd like to kind of draw it to say, yeah, it goes exactly to where, you know, I think things are going. But until we actually start to see these form out, we don't know how high these things are likely to go until we actually get confirmation of them. So this is just for illustration purposes, that this is the breakout that I'm expecting to see, an impulsive breakout from this triangle that's formed. And it should be impulsive by nature. And again, we can actually jump into several of the charts and show you examples of these Elliott wave triangles, because Zilliqa is not the only one that's forming a triangle. We've got VeChain forming a triangle. Harmony One keeps printing triangles on its hourly chart, and they keep playing out beautifully. And obviously, if you're familiar with the price action of one right now, you know that it's been progressing quite nicely to the upside overall. So overall, I think you know, Zilliqa's got a lot of potential to it as it moves into the metaverse and it starts to kind of capture some of that audience. And of course, as we finish this triangle off, we should start to see a lot of progression just from traders who are actively aware of what this pattern means longer term as well. So overall, you know, there's not a huge amount I can really say about Zilliqa at this point. Just wanted to kind of give you guys an update that we are in a triangle. We are looking for a downside. This is the last trend down that should actually form the E wave that then takes us into that breakout. It's not going to be quick though. I am seeing this this E wave as something that's going to play out during the month of January and potentially even into February, but I think it's more likely going to be contained in January. We'll have to see how fast the markets play out. But ultimately things are looking pretty good longer term and specifically Q1 of 2022. So guys, hopefully you have found this brief update on Zilliqa useful and informative. If you have, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.